Yo, this is Afro, aka All Flows Reach Out, and you're listening to Built for This Network. Yes, sir. From the building, stay bomb.
Hey, yeah, we're the same brothers from a long time ago. We was talking about television and doing it on the radio. What we did was to help our generation realize they got to get out there and get busy because it wasn't going to be televised. We got respect for young rappers and the way they freewaying. But if you're going to be teaching folks things, be sure you know what you're saying. Older folks in our neighborhood got plenty of know-how. Remember, if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be out there now. And I ain't coming at you with no disrespect. All I'm saying is that you damn well got to be correct. Because if you're going to be speaking for a whole generation and you know enough to try and handle their education, be sure you know the real deal about past situations and ain't just repeating what you heard on a local TV station. Sometimes they tell lies and put them in a truthful disguise. But the truth is, that's why we said it wouldn't be televised. They don't know what to say to our young folks, but they know that you do. And if they really knew the truth, why would they tell you? The first sign is peace. Tell all them gun-toting young brothers that the man is glad to see us out there killing one another. We raised too much hell when they were shooting us down, so they started poisoning our mind and trying to jerk us all around. And then they tell us they got to come in and control our situation. They want half of us on dope and the other half in incarceration. If the ones they want dead ain't killed by what they instigated, they can put some dope on the brother's body and claim it was drug-related. Tell them drug-related means there don't need to be no investigation, or at least that's the way they're gonna play it on the local TV station. All your 9mm brothers, give them something to think about. Tell them you heard that this is the new word. They got to work that stuff out. But somehow they feeling the wrong way with a gun in their hands. They feeling real independent, but they just pulling contracts with a man. 5 and 5 will tell you it's hopeless out there on the avenue, but if they really knew the truth, why would they tell you? And if they look at you like you're insane and they start calling you scarecrow and say you ain't got no brain, or start telling folks that you suddenly gone lame, or that white folks have finally co-opted your game, or worse yet, implying that you don't really know, that's the same thing they said about us a long time ago. Young rappers, one more suggestion before I get out of your way. But I appreciate the respect you give me and what you got to say. I'm saying protect your community and spread that respect around. Tell brothers and sisters they got to calm that bullshit down, because we're terrorizing our old folks and we brought fear into our homes, and they ain't got to hang out with the senior citizens. Just tell them, damn it, leave the old folks alone. And we know who ripping off the neighborhood. Tell them that BS has got to stop. Tell them you're sorry they can't handle it out there, but they got to take the crime off the block. And if they look at you like they think you're insane, or start calling you scarecrow thinking you ain't got no brain, or start telling folks that you suddenly gone lame, or that white folks have suddenly co-opted your game, or worse yet, saying that you really don't know, that's the same thing they said about me a long time ago. And if they tell folks that you finally lost your nerve, that's the same thing they said about us when we said Johannesburg. But I think you young folks need to know that things don't go both ways. You can't talk respect on every other song or just every other day. What I'm speaking on now is the raps about the women folks. On one song, she's your African queen, and on the next one, she's a joke. And you ain't said no words that I haven't heard, but that ain't no compliment. It only insults 8 people out of 10 and questions your intelligence. 4-letter words or 4-syllable words won't make you a poet. It will only magnify how shallow you are and let everybody know it. And if they look at you like they think you're insane, or they call you scarecrow thinking you ain't got no brain, or start telling folks that you suddenly gone lame, or that the white folks have finally co-opted your game, or you really don't know, they said that about me a long time ago. If they finally start telling people that you lost your nerve, that's what they said about Johannesburg. You ain't insane. You have got a brain. You haven't gone lame. You have got your game. Remember, keep the nerve. Keep the nerve. Keep the nerve. Keep the nerve. We're talking about peace.
feeling myself, but I stay in my lane. I know you thinking you nice, but you sounding the same. He need to switch up his flow, but I know that he ain't. Shit, maybe he want to and probably can't. He talk a lot, but ain't saying a word. He's 16, sounding like he be lacing his herb. Reggie Rock told me time to just focus and spit. Quit worrying about the niggas abandoning shit. I dropped broken and they told me quit biting your tongue. The way you writing sounded like you forgot where you from. Say you from the hood, but you sound like a minister now. Yeah, I could take it there, but shit, I just like how this sound. I should address some of this drama, but letting it go. But shit, I can't keep playing with you niggas, I'm getting too old. The last words Bone told me I never forget. Quit playing with this music and do it to death. Shit, I came back.
You're now watching the End of the Bench podcast, Build and Destroy, hosted by your man, H-Rap B. Good evening. It's your man H-Rap coming at you live and direct. Thank you for tuning in from Late Rent Loud Music Studios. This is Build and Destroy, presented to you by the End of the Bench podcast, End of the Bench media series. Thank you for tuning in. Again, it's an interesting week. Thank you guys for tuning in. You know I do one thing every week. I give respect to my parents, my ancestors, and everybody who brought me here. 50% Pollard, 50% Williams. That makes one whole H-Rap B. Shout out to Dolores and John. Those are my parents. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's going to be an interesting show. As usual, over the last few weeks, I've changed the format to the program. The original format was just me talking and giving information and things from history. Now, the new format is simply this. I do the things I feel that we need to focus on. I give history and I give health and wellness, because if we are to, as the title of the show says this week, action is needed. If action is needed, that means we need to be here. If we need to be here, health is vital to us being here. We cannot be here if we're unhealthy. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let me get this thing started. It's important, man. Action is needed. 7 days ago, I'm broadcasting live from Chicago, Illinois. Oh, before I even go any further, you can catch me live on www.theendofthebench.com. You can catch me live on YouTube at The End of the Bench, THAENDOFDABENCH. You see that in the top left corner, depending on top left-hand corner, right over my left shoulder. Or you can catch me on Facebook or however you're looking at me. You can also follow me on Twitter live right now at HRAP_B. Thank you for keep subscribing and keeping in contact with me. It's important that you do so. Hit that like button, thumbs up, tell a friend to tell a friend, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, and tune in. As I have been beating the drum for the last year or so, I told the people who support the show 2 years ago, I said, hey man, in the next 4 years, in the next 48 months, we can change everything. And how can we change everything? Everybody in the United States of America who holds a political office is up for re-election within the next 4 years. You had the president who was walking in the door at that time. Every senator, every state representative can be replaced. So the problems that you claim that you have, the things that are not being taken care of, the people who are not doing their jobs, you had the opportunity 2 years ago to replace half of them. The second half of them going to be replaced in about 20 months. So the reason I say that is this, folks, ladies, gentlemen, haters, and bitter friends, it is not looking good. It is not looking good. We are being duped by dog whistles. You got people pointing this way. It's the bait and switch. It's a bunch of nonsense going on in the United States of America at this point, and we're not paying attention. We're paying attention to things like Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. We're paying attention to Bad Bunny or Big Bunny or whatever the young lady's name is. We're paying attention to Megan Thee Stallion getting shot and things of that nature because it's not fun. Hey, man, the news depressed me. But you know what? More than likely, the people who are looking at my program are 35 and older. That means you are living for your children, nieces, nephews, and cousins, and your grandchildren. Period. The world is the way it is for you. Are you stuck and unable to achieve success? No, I'm not saying that. But you are in either the fall or the winter of your life if you're paying attention to my program. So we're trying to make the world a better place. As Chris Jackson once said, I apologize for disrespecting him. As Mahmoud Abdul Rauf said, you don't have to work right to enter this world and leave it the same way it was when you got here. You owe it to yourself to make the world a better place. And the reason I'm bringing that about is in Chicago, we just had a mayor. We're about to exchange mayors. The Honorable Lori Lightfoot. Yes, I respect Lori Lightfoot. Was she perfect? No. Did she do everything that I want her to do? No. But what I do understand is this. Chicago has been run by what is called the machine. It has been nicknamed the machine since before I was a child. As I referenced last week, the machine consists of a bunch of power-hungry people from all cultures, but primarily these are power-hungry white men who used to have total control of the city up until 83, up until 1983. A gentleman by the name of the Honorable Harold Washington ran for mayor. He beat out the only other mayor who hasn't had 2 terms by the name of a woman by the name of Jane Byrne. Beat her out, and he changed the city. He busted up the machine. It was a group of white men who ran city council. It was a group of white men who were all aldermen. It was a group of white men who were all state representatives. No community outside of the white community had true representation in the city of Chicago. If you've heard me say it, if you've heard people like Corey Holcomb say it, you've heard other people from Chicago say it's one of the most segregated cities in the United States of America. So just imagine being living in Pilsen, which is a heavy Latino community. The Mexican community is dominant over there. The second largest shopping district in the city of Chicago, Michigan Avenue. You guys heard of it, the Magnificent Mile. The number 2 is in Pilsen or Little Village. That's where the Mexican brothers and sisters live. Just imagine having the second largest shopping district and a white man is controlling all the politics in your community. Or you go up in Humboldt Park where our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters are at. Or you go to right next to Humboldt Park where the Ukraine village is. Or you go on the south or the west side where black people dominate, and we didn't have one or very little representation in city government. Harold Washington busted that up. Harold Washington was making it so the underserved were getting served. They had opportunities, and his untimely death led to the return of the machine because Honorable Jean Sawyer, and I should have said the Honorable Jane Byrne too. I apologize to Jane Byrne because when you're the mayor, you're the honorable. Jane Byrne stepped in for a little while. She didn't change much. She changed what she could, but Harold Washington put his foot in this city. Now, am I saying Sister Lightfoot was going to do that? I don't know. But what I do know is this. After Harold Washington was Jean Sawyer, then it was the mayor of the most powerful mayor in the history of Chicago. His name was Richard J. Daley. Richard Daley was the mayor for as long as he wanted to be. And thousands of people, hundreds of people went to jail around his activities. I don't know if he was doing anything, but hey, if you hang around with a bunch of barbers, you might be a barber. You know what I mean? If everybody around you is going to jail, maybe they covering for you. I don't know. And then Rahm Emanuel took over. Y'all heard me say a couple of weeks ago, Rahm Emanuel literally had money set aside in the city budget for the purpose to pay out victims of police brutality. That, like, some people might go, hey, well, at least he was looking out for the brothers because we've been mesmerized by this thing called money. Money means absolutely nothing if you have to lose your life to get it. So instead of setting money to the side to allocate for the prevention of police brutality, the education, after school programs, fixing the streets, anything, you want to pay out money because these road cops want to beat people senselessly and take lives. Not such a great move, Mr. Emmanuel. And then Sister Lightfoot came in. Now, again, Lori Lightfoot was unapologetically Lori Lightfoot. And I truly believe one of the major reasons she's no longer mayor because she's not in the good old boy system. She was not part of the good old boy plan. For one, she's a black woman. For two, she was part of the LGBTQ, and those are strike 1 and 2 against you. And then she outwardly she wouldn't capitulate, in my personal opinion. Again, I'm not sitting on this podcast telling people that Lori Lightfoot was the savior. She had all the answers. She could do no wrong. I refuse to even want you to believe that. But anytime you're sitting outside of the good old boy network, you might be working for the people. You might just be working for the people. You have people where crime was not going up. There was crime skyrocketed during the pandemic nationwide. Had nothing to do with Lori Lightfoot. Had absolutely nothing to do with Lori Lightfoot. But what I do understand is this. The people who are running for mayor right now, so Brother Johnson, and I don't even know the other dude's name because he said too many outrageous things. I'm not even going to repeat his name. I know his name, but I'm not going to say it. Brother Johnson, that's who has my vote, and I'm not even going to pretend to be listening to the other dude, because anytime you start an election talking about crime prevention, those are what are called, in my purview, a dog whistle. What is a dog whistle? Is when you say certain things that only your constituents will respond to. And when people start talking about being heavy on crime and heavy on that, those are dog whistles for we're going to lock up these brothers and sisters. We're going to lock up these brown people. That's a dog whistle for that. And when you are galvanizing the troop with white nationalism, then I cannot vote for you. But see, he's going to say a lot of very nice things and very, very pretty things. But I do remember one thing he said. He said, when you start teaching people about slavery, that just give black people a reason to be criminals. So anytime you come out your mouth with something like that I wouldn't say, not even to save my life, I'll vote for you. But see, the thing is, these are the types of things that are going around nationwide. You get rid of the progressive people. Now, the Brother Johnson, he seems a bit progressive, but my thing is this: if you're gonna say something, stand on it. And if people don't agree with it, so be it. So be it. Now, how is it that you don't want Lori Lightfoot in office because she didn't do a good job? And Chicago's have failing schools closing at an alarming rate. I think over 100 schools were closed during the period of Rahm Emanuel's tenure. And this guy was the CEO of the Board of Education. And that's the dude you want to be the mayor. Dude who was closing schools. Look, everybody always points to Chicago when you say violence. Violence in Chicago, when you're running for president, when you're running for governor, when you're running for mayor, you say violent. It's a synonym for Chicago. What about the violence in Chicago? First and foremost, the most violent state in the United States of America is Alaska. And Anchorage, Alaska is the most violent place in that state. Chicago isn't even the most violent city in the state of Illinois. This lets you know, again, these are dog whistles. When you say violence, when you say Chicago, I don't care if you're the most forward-thinking and liberal person in the history of the world. You know what you start thinking about? You start thinking about black people. You start thinking about my community, and because we have a stereotype that's been placed upon us that makes people believe that we are violent for no reason at all. But I'm going to show you a video a little later, and it's going to change. Hopefully, it'll help change your mind. And you can tell a friend to tell a friend, and that's another reason to tune in every Tuesday at 6 p.m. or go to www.theendofthebench.com and watch it there. Either way, I get credit for it. It's going to be, I just need my people to support. It's not that I don't want to help other people, but look, I don't know any other community in the United States of America that's being targeted for laws and incarceration and things of that nature. Again, that video in a little while will give you the perfect example of what I'm speaking of, and it's annoying and it's nauseating. And me and one of the brothers on the show that I do on Monday nights, I hope my brother Wilkes chimes in, because it's something that we speak about on the forecast. We've spoken about on the forecast on several occasions. You know, $1.3 billion allocated to police will not. That's what my man Big Illinois, my brother Big Illinois, just came in, and he said $1.3 billion allocated to the police force to crime. But crime continued to increase. He abbreviated continue. That's what threw me off for a second. Exactly. The police don't prevent crime. The police does not prevent crime. Look, let's just be honest. Let's be honest. What's the root cause of the police? The police are patty rollers. They were called patty rollers, and before that, they were slave catchers. I'm gonna talk about something a little later and let you know that we can abolish the police department. See, look, if you have gangrene, you don't treat that limb. If I get gangrene in my pinky finger on my right hand, you can't treat it. It's already destroyed. You would have to remove it, and then that way it don't spread throughout the hand. The police department, we need to abolish the police as it stands. Oh man, what you gonna do about crime? Hey, how many people do you know of, or has it ever happened to you, in the midst of being robbed, the police showed up? And I'm not saying that the police are slackers, and I'm not saying that every police officer is a criminal, and I'm not saying it, but the police as it currently stands, I believe it's a cancerous industry. Hate me if you want to. I don't care. I like me. I'm my favorite person in the world at this point. Well, not favorite, but understand, the police as it stands is worthless. We need to destroy the entire concept of police as it is constructed and come up with another technique. Let's talk about crime. Crime itself. What's the meaning of crime? Is it criminals robbing people every time? No, it's not. Is it criminal that people sleep on the interstate right here in Chicago, tent cities throughout the United States of America? That's crime. The most powerful nation in the world, the most advanced, this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 all that rhetoric that we talk. The greatest nation in the history of the world, and you got people sleeping outside. Do you understand that I've lived in Chicago where it was 3 feet of snow on the ground? I've lived in Chicago on 2 separate occasions in the last 5 years that I've turned on the news, and the weatherman said, and I quote, it was colder today in Chicago than it was on Mars. Mars is farther away from the sun than Earth. But in Chicago, it was that cold. So you got people living outside in those conditions. Now, there are warming centers and things of that nature, but there's still people living outside. It was a place called Wacker Drive here in Chicago. It was a main thoroughfare, one of the busiest streets in Chicago. It's the only street in the United States of America that runs north, south, east, and west. It shows you how big it is. And there's a lower faction of Wacker, because Wacker is around a lot of the major hotels, and it is in the downtown business district. Allow me to slow down. Deep breath. I'm ready. It's in the busiest part of the city. And people used to live up under those buildings, and when it's 40 degrees outside, with the heat blowing out from those buildings, it may not be the healthiest thing, but it definitely cut down on frostbite and things of that nature. And shout out to Rahm Emanuel for stopping those people from sleeping down there, because it was an eyesore. Nothing to allocate to get a lot. Look, Chicago was a heavily industrialized city. That's how we made our bones. There's still a bunch of warehouses and schools that you closed that you could have put those homeless or underserved or what do they call? On the bus, they call them consistent riders. People without shelterless individuals. You could have put those people in those buildings, but you chose not to. You would rather put $1.3 billion into cars, guns, bulletproof vests, cameras, and a bunch of other nonsense. See, this is why who you vote for counts. The city of Los Angeles is going through it right now. Now, I don't know my man D Great. He just popped in here. Shout out to him. Thank you for everybody who's watching and who's tuned in. Thank you. And thank you for the support. As it says on the screen, hello to everyone, and thank you for your support. Now, these are the things and the dog whistles that are being created. The city of Los Angeles, they are in the midst of a renegotiation of the police contract. And now the police are saying, only call us when it's when it's violence happening, because they're saying that they're not equipped to handle anything but violent activities. But you know what? I don't know if that's a bad thing. Now, here's the bad thing: when you don't allocate the funds to the other, like, well, you can have people go to mental health things, and you can have people go over here, and you can have people for the other things. And for the cat stuck in the tree, you can call the fire department and all that stuff that people call the police about. Fine. Seeing how I know if we got $1.92 billion, because my man Big Illinois said 1.3. The last time I checked my guy, it was 1.92. But it's $1 billion. Let's just split at $1.5 billion. If Chicago has $1.5 billion, LA got to have $2 to $3 billion. So I know New York has $5 billion. So if you're gonna give the first responders for mental health and social services and all those people that reallocate those funds and take it away from the police, cool. If y'all only want to respond when it's something violent happening, not a problem. That means we don't need as many of you guys. That means we need more social services. That way that new black woman mayor that's in LA, she won't be because when y'all say, well, see, the crime went up, when y'all gonna reallocate the funds to what they said they needed. And if you give the people what they say they need, then it works. See, police is not needed. When you are having, like that young brother in Philadelphia who was having that mental breakdown, and he was walking around shaking and having a mental episode with a knife in his hand, and they shot him down when he had been through that several times, and he was calling his mom so she can calm him down. You need a mental health expert in that instance. You don't need a guy rolling up with a gun talking about, I'm just trying to make it home. If you're scared with a gun, get a dog. Say a prayer, homeboy. This is not the job for you. See, what we're doing is you're noticing people who are running for governor. I mean, people who run for governor, the people who run for senator, the people who run for the president of the United States, they are all talking, reduce crime, reduce crime, reduce crime. What is it? 43 years ago, it was this guy by the name who's the former governor of the state of California, Ronald Wilson Reagan. He's the one who started that Make America Great Again thing. He was the one who started America First. And if you do a little research, or if you go into my group, The End of the Bench, Build and Destroy, you will see this. Put America First is a Ku Klux Klan slogan. Again, dog whistles. You can't say, hey, you're being racist by saying that. But anytime you start using slogans that hate groups use, I'm going to have to question you. Either you're too stupid to do the research, even though this thing right here called a cell phone is stronger than the computer that put a rocket on the moon in 1968. So there's no reason for you to be ignorant, and you put that out in the universe. So I'm going to assume that you know what you're doing and you know what you're saying, and I'm going to hold you responsible for what you say. So go ahead and say, make America great again, America first. Continue to use slogans that were hurting the disenfranchised, and then we'll continue to identify you as a hate monger and a person who has no goodwill versus the people of our community. It's easy. It's point blank and period. Allow me to introduce you to this fact in history right now. You know what? We're going to go health and wellness. The health and wellness segment is important because we all need to be healthy. We all need to be here. This is your man H-Rap. I'll be back shortly. I'll be in the building. Thank you for tuning in to Building.
These 10 foods keep your guts healthy after age 40. Eat them daily. A healthy gut helps prevent chronic diseases such as heart disease and cancer, decreases inflammation, promotes brain function, and aids with weight maintenance. A healthy gut microbiome is regarded as one of the most crucial parts of health and well-being. as it aids in the digestion of food to give the body energy and the absorption of nutrients to sustain overall body health. Gut health may impact metabolic disease, gastrointestinal problems, malignancies, brain health, and immunity. The best method to maintain a healthy balance of good and harmful bacteria is to consume nutrient-dense meals that are friendly to the gut. 1. Oats. Oatmeal and oats generally have numerous health benefits because they are rich in beta-glucans, a type of soluble fiber that creates a gel-like substance that passes slowly through the digestive tract and helps maintain steady energy levels and satiety. Additionally, this sort of fiber serves a part in regulating blood sugar levels, which plays a role in gut health, as an unhealthy or unbalanced gut can affect blood sugar levels. Beta-glucan-rich foods can help manage blood sugar levels and reduce the risk of insulin resistance. Enjoy oatmeal with your favorite fruit and nut toppings, combine oats into a nutritious smoothie, or bake oat muffins for breakfast. 2. Sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is a fermented cabbage containing beneficial microorganisms for the intestines. With its sour flavor and crunchiness, sauerkraut elevates any dish to the next level. Use it on a sandwich, in a salad, or as an ingredient in a grain bowl. The numerous gut health advantages of sauerkraut are another reason to adore it. Microorganisms in the cabbage transform its natural sugars into carbon dioxide and organic acids during the fermentation process. This facilitates digestion by aiding in the breakdown of food's components. The ingredients in sauerkraut include cabbage and salt. The probiotics produced by fermentation aid digestion and introduce beneficial microorganisms to the gut. Before we get into the rest of the list, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell. 3. Pears. This fruit is rich in antioxidants, vitamins C and K, which boost immunity, cardiovascular health, and digestion. For gut health, they include both insoluble and soluble fiber, which are essential for digestion since they add bulk to the stool and promote regular bowel movements. Pears have more fiber than a 1-cup portion of kale, with 6 grams. In addition to helping you maintain a healthy weight and lowering your risk of developing type 2 diabetes, fiber is an essential component of a balanced diet. The digestive benefits a high-fiber diet gives, and according to the FDA, we can get nearly 20% of our daily recommended value from a pear. 4. Beans. In a soup, as a dip, or as a side dish, beans are one of the finest protein and fiber-rich gut meals. 1 cup of cooked black beans has around 15 grams of fiber. Black beans, rich in resistant starch, act as a prebiotic during digestion to fuel the beneficial bacteria. Try incorporating black beans into a breakfast tortilla with scrambled eggs for a protein boost. Black beans, like many other beans, are an excellent source of fiber, protein, and folate. In addition to being rich in nutrients, it has been discovered that black beans positively alter gut microbes. Due to their lower glycemic index in comparison to many other high-carbohydrate foods, black beans may also aid with blood sugar management. This indicates that they reduce the rise in blood sugar after a meal. 5. Yogurt. Among the finest foods for gut health, yogurt is often the first item that comes to mind, and for a good reason. Yogurt is abundant in probiotics, which are live bacteria that maintain healthy gut flora. According to our experts, not all yogurts contain live probiotics, so you'll need to read the label and look for yogurts that contain active or living cultures in order to reap the full advantages. Choose yogurt with little added sugars and simple ingredients that are high in protein. Additionally, research suggests that yogurt may help prevent type 2 diabetes. Yogurt, particularly the dairy variety, is abundant in probiotics, which strengthen the immune system and promote digestive health by maintaining levels of good bacteria in the gut. In addition to strengthening your digestive system, this will also have great effects on your brain. Studies have demonstrated a substantial link between gut health and brain health. Thus, regular consumption of yogurt can improve both cognitive function and mood. 6. Lentils. Lentils are a versatile food rich in essential nutrients such as folate, iron, B vitamins, and resistant starches that promote gut health. What exactly are resistant starches? Resistant starch is a form of carbohydrate that ferments in the large intestines and works as a prebiotic to nourish the beneficial gut bacteria. In addition to boosting gut bacteria, this practice has additional benefits, such as prolonging satiety, enhancing bowel regularity, and promoting heart health. Lentils are true plant-based nutritional powerhouses, providing a substantial amount of both fiber and protein. Consider preparing a robust lentil soup or pairing lentils with rice for a healthy and comforting meal. 7. Bananas. Bananas are regarded to be one of the best foods for digestion and are a budget-friendly approach to nourishing your gut. They include inulin, a form of soluble fiber that helps feed the beneficial bacteria in the gut. According to a meta-analysis, if you are experiencing uncomfortable gastrointestinal symptoms such as constipation or diarrhea, eating more bananas may help alleviate these symptoms by increasing stool consistency and overall bowel function. Bananas should be included in a healthy, balanced, vegetable-rich diet. One medium-sized banana can provide around 1/5 of your daily vitamin B6 requirements, which is essential for numerous bodily activities, including metabolism. 8. Berries. Berries, including blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries, are among the healthiest foods you can consume. One thing that these berries have in common is their ability to regulate the digestive tract. They include disease-fighting compounds such as antioxidants, which aid in reducing intestinal inflammation. Berries are also one of the highest sources of prebiotics and vitamin C, which help improve the gut barrier, promote nutritional absorption, and provide protection against certain toxins. Start your day with a simple berry smoothie, or freeze them to enjoy as a nutrient-dense, sugary dessert later. Because berries are low in calories, you can have an abundance of them without gaining weight. Because they are juicy, they contain a great deal of water, hence the majority of their mass consists of water, which has no calories. A strawberry of average size has between 3 and 6 calories. A cup of blueberries contains around 80 calories. Instead of potato chips, you should grab a handful of berries. 9. Leafy greens. In the realm of nutrition, leafy greens such as kale, spinach, arugula, and chard are unquestionable superstars. Leafy greens are high in fiber, vitamins, and phytonutrients. The health advantages of leafy greens are beyond your wildest expectations. Whether they are consumed as a whole food, in smoothies, or as organic greens powders, leafy greens have the ability to make you look and feel younger and can even promote healthy aging. Do you wish to enhance memory and cognition as you approach your elderly years? Eat your leafy green vegetables. A study indicated that those who consumed the most leafy greens daily had less cognitive deterioration than those who consumed the least. Green vegetables such as broccoli and kale are rich in vitamin K, which is essential for the synthesis of proteins that build bones and coagulate blood. 10. Garlic. Garlic is naturally rich in inulin, a non-digestible carbohydrate or functional fiber that nourishes the beneficial bacteria in the digestive tract. Essentially, it functions as fuel for these bacteria, allowing them to perform their duties more efficiently, so improving the overall function of your gut. Garlic loses its prebiotic advantages the more you heat it, and raw garlic is better for gut health. It is simple to incorporate garlic into your current diet. It pairs well with most savory foods, especially soups and sauces. Garlic's robust flavor can help spice up otherwise dull dishes. In terms of nutrients, garlic provides value for money. It has a large number and quantity of nutrients relative to its low caloric content, making it a nutrient-dense component. By ingesting garlic, you will provide your body with numerous essential nutrients, including manganese, vitamin B6, zinc, sulfur, iron, vitamin C, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and selenium. Your gut microbes are crucial for many aspects of your health. Numerous studies have demonstrated that a disturbed microbiome can result in a variety of chronic diseases. Eating a variety of fresh, whole foods, primarily from plant sources such as fruits, vegetables, legumes, beans, and whole grains, is the most effective strategy for maintaining a healthy microbiome. If you are interested in some more healthy food choices, check out this video. The 15.
I'm welcome. Look, it's your man H-Rap B, coming in live and direct. Thank you for tuning in this evening. Allow me to slow down. I'm moving too fast. As I said, I've reconfigured the show. That's why I do health and wellness as well as history. If we're going to empower ourselves mentally, empower ourselves spiritually, we need to have a a physical that is in order as well. Thank you for tuning in. This is Build and Destroy. And again, I am H-Rap B. Now, with that being said, as I was stating, the people who we vote for is paramount. Voting for the right person is paramount. All kinfolk ain't all skinfolk ain't kinfolk. A lot of people will and will not understand what that means. And if you don't understand, maybe you don't need to know. Let's just be honest. But at the end of the day, it means just because it's a black face, that does not mean that they have beneficial black intentions on their mind. Some people are here to get paid. Some people are here for the power. Some people are here just to get the pension. So what we have to do again is download that 5 Calls app so we can stay on top of these people. We have to download that the 5 Calls app. We have to download the politicking app so we can see how these people vote and what their track record is before we invest in them with our vote. And even understand this, even when the candidate that you don't vote for or you don't like gets into office, that does not mean the fight stops. That does not mean, oh man, I got 6 years to wait on this dude. No, you got 6 minutes. The minute he or she is sworn in to that office, then you start complaining. Because again, as I've stated on several occasions, when someone is elected to office, just because you do or do not like them does not mean that they don't do your bidding. They are a civil servant. They were asking you to vote for them. Even if they don't know if you voted for them or not, they know they either won or lost. If they won, that means that they're supposed to do your bidding. So stop. So here in Republic, he's not going to do what I want. Well, if you and enough people start complaining and stay on top of that person's head, they will do what you have them to do. And if you continue to believe that, hey man, this vote thing ain't gonna work. Well, our ancestors back in the 1860s, at one point, only men could vote in this country. So after the 1860s, after the Great Interruption, black men could vote. But you know what? Black men would get together with their families and their communities, and they will vote for their best interests. That's how Wilmington, North Carolina was taken over by a predominantly black elected government, because that elected government, because of the people in that community realized that they were voting in their best interests. And sometimes voting for a black person was in their best interest, even though it ended up blowing up in their face and white nationalists came through and threatened and killed people. But it shows you, if it was allowed to be done in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, that means it's only a matter of you coming together and getting your act together. And you too can, I'm not going to tell you that we can take over the country, but what we can do is make the country as comfortable as humanly possible for people like yourself and myself. As I was speaking about crime early, crime is due to lack of opportunities. Most people who are participating in crime, either they feel that they don't have an opportunity or they have tried and they don't see the future. Most people don't wake up and say, well, let me join an organized crime organization and start selling poison and robbing, killing, raping, and stealing. That just does not happen. Thank you, Sugar Daddy. Now, if you don't believe this voting thing works and how it works, all you have to do is look down to Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi, they have a new council. They are trying to create a council. It is Bill 1040, where they're going to have a council that runs the city. This is a city that is predominantly black with a new black mayor. They're trying to bring in a council, and you don't have to live in Jackson to be a part of this council. So you don't even have to live in a city with predominantly black people, and you could be some right-wing nut. You could be from anywhere in the state and tell the people in Jackson what to do, and they're going to blame it on the black mayor and try to get them out of there. This is why we need to pay the same attention that we pay to our entertainment facts as we do to this political thing. And how are they going to fund it? They're going to use 18% of the tax money that are coming out of Jackson, Mississippi to fund this new council to run Jackson, Mississippi. You're going to use 18% of it. You're going to take 18% of the money that isn't even strong enough to get the water fixed in Jackson to get people to rule the people in Jackson. Understand what you're dealing with, folks. Folks, you're dealing with a bunch of hate mongers and power hungry jerks. And that's just the bottom line. These are people who want to be empowered. If you don't understand how important voting is, all you do is go to the great state of Tennessee and look up these two bills. The first bill, I don't know the name of it. The first bill was shot down. It was going to allow police officers, off-duty police officers, even if they were inebriated, to carry their guns. Why does an inebriated person need to carry a firearm? Luckily, it was shot down. Again, this is the state where a representative openly is trying to get behind capital punishment, even though we've shown, the statistics have shown, no matter how many people you kill in the state, it does not reduce crime. You can put lethal injection, you can put people in an electric chair, you can do all that, and it does not reduce crime. So, and there's if it's two people that have been incarcerated for life without a possibility of parole or put to death, that's too many. So if you don't have a perfect system, who gives a state the right to kill somebody? Question: if I go out and kill 30 people and you give me the electric chair or you give me a lethal injection, the person who hits the lethal injection button 10 times, didn't he kill 10 people? And God ain't talking about, well, that's your job. Or if you want to say, well, that's his job. Well, guess what? About 60-some years ago, 60, 70 years ago, and at the Nuremberg trials, the Nazis said the same thing. I was just following orders. Nobody wanted to accept it then, but you're willing to accept it over here. I understand that there are people in this life that lose loved ones every day due to senseless, unnecessary violence. But who gives the right to have somebody else take somebody else's life? Period. Now, here is a bill I want you to look up. HBO 977. HBO 977. These people have lost their entire minds. These people are trying to get officers to carry weapons. Oh, yeah, excuse me. The initial bill was, the one that I don't know the name to, is a law that will allow anybody with a gun permit. Excuse me. I got my facts twisted. Anybody, the one they shot down, anybody with a gun permit is legally deputized to be a police officer when they see a crime being committed. Again, this is why you must do away with, abolish the police force and rebuild and build something in its place. Because if you're willing to give anybody with a gun permit the ability to act as a police officer, and now you're trying to say in HBO 977, a police officer can be drunk. So any drunk clown can walk up on me and say that I did something and kill me. And then it's up to the world to prove that he didn't do it. And we also understand how the jury process has been muddied. So we're going to have an all-white jury and a white man kill a brother, a thug-ish brother or a thug-looking brother or a perceived thug, Trayvon Martin, rest in peace. And then they're going to let him go. HBO 977 is the law that I'm talking about in the state of Tennessee. Understand what we're dealing with. But these things only come about because voting don't count. They ain't going to do what we want to do. But how is it that your grandmother's grandfather was able to vote and make a difference? But you can't do it. I ain't going to give you all that rigmarole about your ancestors died for you the right to do that. So you owe it. No, you owe it to the people who are following you to do this. You owe it to them. If you wonder why things are getting bad but look at the violence on TV, H-Rap. You'll see a video in a second about the violence on TV. Is it a lot of violence on TV? I just want to ask y'all this. Is it really more violent, or is it just when we were younger, CNN came about when I was a senior high school and people laughed at it. 24-hour news, that's crazy. When I was younger also, we didn't have, you had ABC Nightly News with Ted Koppel, and that was it. at 10:30, 11 o'clock, the news went off, and that was the end of the news. But now we have 24-hour news. Like in Chicago, guy gets shot on 4,000 West on Madison. Guy shot 100 South on Pulaski. That's the same corner. If you tell the story from different angles, it's the same story, but it seems like a different story that makes you believe that it's insanely violent. When it is violent, but it isn't as violent as you would perceive it to be. One of the major things about Chicago that most people outside of Chicago don't know is housing projects. Housing projects used to house a lot of the criminality because, again, crime is brought about due lack of opportunity or the perceived lack of opportunity. And then you make a decision based on what your perception is. I'm not excusing anybody from the responsibility of not doing criminal activity, not participating in criminality, but I do understand why people make mistakes. I haven't made all the best mistakes, made best decisions in my life, but I've had the blessing of never being caught making the mistakes that I've made. So I look as if I am, hey man, H-Rob, he the pro-black dude. He online talking about fight the power every week, but I got skeletons in my closet as well. So I understand being a human being, making a stupid decision, and thank God I never had to pay for it. But what I do want you to understand is this. Instead of looking at our brothers and sisters, nieces, nephews, and cousins saying they crazy, understand what's making them crazy. Lack of opportunity. A dim light. And I'm gonna keep it funky. We're not raising our children the way we used to raise our children. And I'm not talking about no whippings and beatings and striking your children. We don't spend the time we used to spend with our children. We give our children things. We give our children things that we wanted. And it does not supplant the quality time and conversation that our children need. Air Jordans, yes, I asked my mother for a pair. And she told me in 1984, the first year that they came out, I'll get you some Jordans the day he started wearing some Air Bryans. To this day, she's never bought me any Air Jordans because I ain't never seen them in a pair of Air Bryans. But she spent a lot of quality time with me. We had tons and tons of conversation. So even though I did do the stupid stuff, I knew better. And I did it with the mentality of I don't want to get caught because I don't want to make my mother look like a fool. And a lot of people aren't doing that. So we must get engaged. If we have time to watch Power, all the Powers, and I done watched The Sopranos about 10 times myself. I'm in the midst of watching The Sopranos for the 10,000th time right now. We have time to do that. Start having time for these kinds of conversations with your friends, your family, your neighbors. If you know, put it like this. If you can type in a year right here in this chat room, and I'll tell you who the NBA, NFL, and NFL, NBA, and MLB champion was that year. If I can do that, that means I have enough space in my head to learn something about this as well. So I need us to get involved, get engaged. And I am about to do this last video because this is something that we need to look into. And then I'm going to shut the get down because I got Bible study to get to. Me and the Lord got an appointment. But I want you to watch this video. Then I have something to say. And then we're going to give it the 2 fingers, 1 word, and I'm out.
No chase on me, no chase on me, no chase on me, no chase.
When you're talking about mass incarceration, you compare now this opioid crisis versus the crack era and Congress spending millions of dollars on drug treatment facilities. There is no more mass incarceration. And now people care about the drug dealers, the drug users. But you have brothers who are still locked up from the 80s. You have brothers who receive life sentences. You have brothers who did 20 plus years because of the crack era. And what's even more messed up about this whole thing, nobody pushed the opioid crisis on the white community. During the crack era, crack was pushed on us and they took the jobs. On top of that, when you talk about mass incarceration, laws were passed that completely eliminated any type of judge's discretion. I mean, there's tons of things to name. When you look at the sentence of a black man versus a white man committing the same crime, when you look at things like how more often we get pulled over, when you look at stuff like the New York stop and frisk, I've spoken about this several times.
For millions of Americans, the sight of a policeman instills a sense of calm, faith that order is being kept, that the good guys are watching. But for many others, thousands stopped on the streets of New York because they look or act a certain way. Encounters with the blue and white breed fear, frustration, and anger at a force that some say is bent more on intimidation than serving and protecting.
Of the thousands of daily stop and frisks, only 6% lead to an arrest, and a little over 1% actually turn up a weapon. Critics say this is proof it doesn't work.
Nearly 90% of the stops were black and brown people, with the vast majority being black, and they actually found more contraband on white folks. Nearly 90% of the stops were black and brown people, but they found more contraband on white folks. But the whole video would be took over if I got into all that. Like I said, go back and watch my videos on the war on drugs. They show that people of all colors use and sell illegal drugs. If there are any differences, surveys are to be found that frequently suggest that whites, particularly the youth, are far more likely to engage in drug activities. There are more white users and more white drug dealers. In major drug-infested cities, nearly 80% of young black men have criminal records. When you look at the nation's prisons and jails, they are overflowing with black drug users and drug dealers. It may be surprising to some, but the drug crime was declining, not rising, when the drug war was declared. From a historical perspective, however, the lack of correlation between crime and punishment is nothing new. Sociologists have frequently observed that the government's use of punishment is primarily as a tool of social control. Most people assume that the war on drugs was launched in a response to the crisis caused by crack cocaine. This view holds that the racial disparities in drug convictions and sentences, as well as the rapid explosion of the prison population, reflect nothing more than the government's zealous but benign efforts to address the rampant drug crime in poor communities. I mean, this view is understandable, given the sensational media coverage of the crack cocaine in the 1980s and the 1990s, but it's simply wrong.
If we're going to have a successful offensive, we need more money. Consequently, I'm asking the Congress for $155 million in new funds, which will bring the total amount this year in the budget for drug abuse, both in enforcement and treatment, to over $350 million. As far as the new money is concerned, incidentally, I have made it clear to the leaders that if this is not enough, if more can be used, if Dr. Jaffe, after studying this problem, finds that we can use more will be provided.
While it is true that the publicity surrounding crack cocaine led to the dramatic increase in funding the war on drugs. But there is no truth to the notion that the war on drugs was launched in a response to crack cocaine. On October 14th, 1982, President Ronald Reagan officially declared the war on drugs, doubling down on an initiative that was started by Richard Nixon. Reagan declared that illicit drugs were a direct threat to U.S. national security, and through a series of legislation, we had the outcome of mandatory minimum sentencing laws of 1986. A study of urban Black fathers found that 28% actually had access to an automobile. That rate fell to 18% of those living in the ghetto. And with all these fathers being locked up, they was arresting all these brothers. This destroyed the Black family. Kids growing up without a father are 5 times more likely to be poor, twice as likely to drop out of school or end up in foster care or juvenile justice facilities. Kids growing up without a father are 5 times more likely to be poor and twice as likely to end up in some type of juvenile facility. But yeah, on the mass incarceration side, crack versus opioid, these aren't my words. These are Congress words. Congress put out a statement that they want to focus more on the treatment than the incarceration. Can't make this up, man. See, now we care about the users. And they also care about the dealers. Because the people that's pushing this stuff, they're not getting the same sentences. They're not going through the same stuff. And many of these families aren't being ripped apart. Please follow the History with No Chaser Facebook and Instagram pages.
Thank you for tuning in. This is H-Rap B again. About to shut it down. As you see, I'm not saying that the people of our community are without flaw, without fault, without blame. But anytime, as you saw, Richard Nixon was the first person to declare war on drugs. And his aide in 1988 said on 2020, a news program that still comes on to this day, and said, we had a plan. We got tired of the anti-war people. So we put weed on the hippies, aka the white people, and we put heroin in the Black community. He said that. It is on public record that he said it. And then 20 years later, you got Oliver North. Actually, right as he's saying this, Oliver North is on TV confessing to the TV show Snowfall. The stuff that's happening in the Snowfall is an action. It's not dot by dot, sentence by sentence, period by period truth, but it is based on what happened to Freeway Rick Ross of Los Angeles. Yes, Franklin Saint. And that dude, I can't think his name, the white guy who beat him for the $70 million. That is a dead CIA agent who's being funded by and supported by Oliver North and George Herbert Walker Bush. And we don't know these things. We just think one day we woke up and decided it was going to be this way. No, when you defund areas and you push things in these areas, and it looks like an opportunity, and nobody, when you are in a bad situation, you're thinking about right now, you're not thinking about tomorrow. So again, I'm not making any excuses for anybody. But what I am saying is all the blame don't fall on the poor people in the United States of America, no matter what culture you're a part of. Every culture in this country has participated in criminality. Probably, maybe not the Native Americans. They just victims at this point. But the cultures that have migrated here, we've all participated in criminality. So to aim it at us and say it's you are outside your mind. Now, before I close out, and I got about 2 minutes before I got to close out right now, but I want to speak about our young brother, Ja Morant. Ja Morant is a young man who's been under a ton of scrutiny. And what I think is missing in this situation is tough love. Again, I'm not talking about striking anybody, but as I was talking on the program last night at the Forecast on BH3 Network, what's missing is the grandparents and the elders who would tell you the unabashed truth. They will tell you the unabashed truth, and they didn't care if you liked them. You needed to hear it, and they told it to you. A young brother by the name of Ja Morant is worth about $250 million right now. $250 million. He just signed a $200 million extension with the NBA. He just got a Nike deal. And he's playing tough guy and this, that, and the third. I have to look at his parent, not his mom, but his dad sideways. Because a lot of these games, his dad is sitting on the sideline. There's no way possible that your son should be behaving in this imaginary thug atmosphere with that much money hanging in the balance. You no longer have to be tough, and somebody needs to talk to him. This is a product of what Ron DeSantis and other people throughout the country that are going anti-CRT, and they don't want you to know the truth, and they don't want you to know history. This is exactly what this leads to. How do I tie CRT into the behavior of a young man? This is how you do it, because that young man has no idea what other people have gone through. Thomas Hollywood Henderson in the 70s blew his entire Dallas Cowboy career. And luckily, the brother went on doing good things and hit the lottery, the Texas State Lottery twice. Thank God for that. He got off the drugs and turned his life around. He's running a rehabilitation center. He don't know about people like John Lucas Sr., who's helped dozens upon dozens of young NBA players turn their lives around. He don't understand, like I've told y'all on this show, everybody be calling these young athletes stupid. And Shaquille O'Neal on Drink Champs, he confirmed what I said, what I've been saying for years. When you sign a $20 million contract, you walk away with 10. You walk away with $10 million, but you're thinking $20 million and you spending like you have 20, but it's because you are a young man. One of the beautiful things that I heard, most beautiful things I heard in my entire life, is when Reggie Jackson was about to retire, he told Dr. J, and Dr. J took him to Bill Cosby's house, and Bill Cosby gave Reggie Jackson financial literacy. Bill Cosby educated them. Another thing, when you know your history, hopefully you will not repeat your history. When you're looking at this, Bill Cosby said, "Hey, Reggie, you the man. I don't want you to end up broke," and educated him financially. Dr. J was the person who gave it to him. Why am I bringing this up? Because Ja Morant has been on a downward spiral for a long time. He's an excellent basketball player. I'm one of his biggest supporters. I was supporting him when he was at Maury State, when wasn't nobody even thinking about him, because I like college basketball. This is why I believe mainstream media has had allowed a percentage of the sports population to hate LeBron James. You can hate LeBron James on the field, but people hate LeBron James in person. The loudest people hate LeBron James. I got a homeboy, we were watching the All-Star game. LeBron James threw the ball off the backboard in the middle of the game and dunked it. He called him the B word and said he stole that from Tracy McGrady. The very next play was a young man by the name of Jason Tatum from the Boston Celtics. He did the exact same play, not a word. Not a word. LeBron James has been criminalized and villainized because he's the blueprint of how to do it right. You don't have to be a fan. I'm not asking you to be a fan. Guess what? I'm from Chicago, Illinois, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I've never lived no more than 3 miles away from the United Center. That's where the Bulls play basketball. It used to be Chicago Stadium. The other building was called the Chicago Stadium right across the street. Never lived no more than 3 miles away from this place. So I've been on top of it since the 70s, right? I'm not a Michael Jordan fan. I'm not a Kobe Bryant fan, because I don't like guys that shoot that much. But Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan held themselves at a level that I could only just not like their game because they shot too much. That's it. I'm not going to call Kobe no names. I'm not calling Jordan no names. You don't have to like. Didn't like Bird for a minute. Didn't like Bird. Like Magic Johnson. Didn't like Joe Montana because I wanted the Cowboys to win. I wanted Tony Dorsett to get another Super Bowl. Little boy at the time, 10. But at the end of the day, I respected what they accomplished. We don't even talk about, I'm old enough to remember when Jim Brown sat on Arsenio Hall's show and dissed Michael Jordan and dissed Magic Johnson because they were not doing enough for the black community. He dissed all the major athletes, the Patrick Ewings, the Charles Barkleys, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Marvin Hagans, because they were not stepping up and doing what they were supposed to do. When you look at this young brother, LeBron James, what does he do? He helps the community. He's open to school. He speaks up on political issues. He wore the T-shirt, "I Can't Breathe," in the midst of a game. They were talking about boycotting things. LeBron James has done a lot socially. What the most important thing is this. He got the same woman. He was the girl he took to prom is the girl he's been with for the last 20 years. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but hey, he showed you how to keep a family together. Last time you heard LeBron James' name in the newspaper is because he was an 18-year-old young man whose parent got him a Hummer, and he was doing 90 miles per hour in a Hummer. You haven't heard his name in the paper since. He not only made himself worth $1 billion, he made his friends, his inner circle, he's either educated them or put them in position to hang with Warren Buffett, and now they're multimillionaires. But we don't hear about that. We don't hear about the Michael Vicks of the world ruining their money. We don't hear about a lot of these athletes throwing their money down the drain. These people need, when they saw John Morant going down the tubes, they should publicly excoriate him, not by calling him stupid and all that, but they should publicly say he knows better, or publicly put him on Front Street and say, hey, call me. Let me help you out. And at that point, since a lot of us fold to peer pressure, more than likely that young brother would have called him and they would have educated him. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes the NBA, NFL, MLB village to raise these young players. We all want nice things. We all want to help our friends. And nobody is that testosterone get the flowing in you, and you don't want to seem like some punk. But I ain't never heard nobody call Bob Johnson a punk. I ain't never heard nobody call WB's the boys the punk. I ain't never heard nobody call Malcolm X, Dr. King, or none of those guys. They ain't standing around thugging. So young brother Ja, you made a mistake. Like Captain Jack said on Instagram a couple of days ago, you made a mistake. It ain't about what you did yesterday. It's about what you're going to do tomorrow. Young brother, don't let these people put you in the trick bag and make you out to be a bad person, because you know they can get rid of you at the blink of an eye. It has taken 20 years for us to say the name Mahmoud Abdul Rauf again, and he got that video. Please go watch that Stan documentary on Showtime, please, because it's awesome. But he shows you how they can lose you in the mix. Colin Kaepernick, they can lose you in the mix. It's 1,000,001 brothers. I can't think of his name right now. I'm trying to hurry up so I can get the Bible study. They put people in trick bags and they disappeared them. How many times have we heard of dudes, man, where he at? And Baker Mayfield keep getting jobs, but such and such from this school can't get a job. So I'm gonna need y'all to start talking to these young people, because they're not crazy. They are underserved, just like our community. Most of these young people just need some attention. With that being said, I want to send a shout out to the people who give me inspiration to do my podcast every week. That is the Ghetto Boys, Tariq Nasheed Nori, Tariq, Talia Kweli, Ray Grady, Zoe Williams, Craig Smith, Sway Calloway, Al Shop, the Heather B, Clay Kane, Marie Daniel Favors, Greg Carr, Karen Hunter, and the Black Eagle, Joe Madison. Thank y'all for doing it. I love to see y'all every Tuesday. See y'all in 168 hours. I'm refocused. I got to get the Rapper with H-Rap back going. Me and BJ was busy last week. That's why we didn't do our show. I'm going to talk to him tonight and see if we're going to do the joint next week. Y'all already know I'm just trying to make our community a better place to live in.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We lust for that cheese, we lose sleep, dreams of that cream. We killing our teens, they dying for this American dream. Them government schemes, they turning us to hustlers and fiends. We hustling trees, them politicians smuggling green. Chasing that cheese, got everybody stressed in the streets. Pardon me for speaking freely, let it breathe. Evangelists preach the congregations out of their seats. They writing them checks for tithes, now it's people can't eat. She stripping for change for school, now she giving them brains. She used to that loot, she earning, now she giving them strain. He new to this game, but hungry, so he cooking his cane. He getting that paper, but then they gave him two to the brain. It's rules to this game, but hustlers never hustle for fame. The spirit of greed is grimy, so we struggle to change. They put us in chains to take away our African names. But if we submissive and don't resist, then who do we blame? It's all a game, man. These Europeans thinking they claim, and you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. They gave us Obama, but that nigga was hoping for change. But Zimmerman is killing niggas and he free. Shit is crazy, babies having these babies and getting checked. But keep the child from they pop to rip his heart out his chest. Our rappers was leaders and now they in the booth in the dress. Spitting bullshit and making more but giving us less. They taking our sound and changing ours, dumbing it down. They taking our jobs and homes and they shutting us out. They taking our kids because it ain't a man in the house. They locking us down, but soon they gon' be wiping us out. They told our women they was too independent to need a man. They told our brother he was too insignificant to advance. It's all a game, man. These Europeans staking they claim. And you a victim of their game plan. You thinking they ain't, you thinking they saints. Remember all them niggas they hang? Killed our women and our children, all our leaders is slain. It's all a game.